It's cricket time now on the SportsMax zone. It was a high-scoring affair in match 32 of the Bangladesh Premier League. Gerard Morrisili has the recap.
The Tigers batting first against Comilla Victorians in match 32 of the Bangladesh Premier League. Mamadou Hassan Joy's wicket in the third over with just 13 runs on the board set up what was about to be a record-breaking match. Skipper Shai Hope came to the crease and produced something special. The West Indian showed his class with explosive shots all around the ground. Hope, not well known for his six-hitting ability, but he put on a masterclass for the spectators. He hit 7 of them to go with 4 fours in his 55-ball knock. Hope brought up his half-century in the 11th over with a score on 82 for 1. The Barbadian shared a century stand with Tamim Iqbal, 184 the pair produced. Khulna Tigers, 210 for 2 at the end of 20 overs, with Shai Hope unbeaten on 91. Comilla Victorians, in pursuit of 211, would be in a bit of trouble after Litton Das retired hurt and Imro Kays was dismissed in the third over. But Johnson Charles came to the crease with Hope's innings in the back of his mind. The big St. Lucian was not going to be outdone by his West Indian counterpart. Charles put on a display of pure power, hitting 5 fours and 11 sixes. He brought up his half-century at the end of the 13th over with a 6. And by the end of the 15th over, Charles was just 19 runs away from a century. That century came in the 18th over, and what better way to bring it up than with another 6.
All the way. It doesn't matter where you bowl to this fella.
Charles would end the match with yet another 6, giving the Victorians the 8-wicket win.
That's how Johnson Charles finishes proceedings.
It was a total display of power, 4 men scoring over 70 runs, with 3 of them reaching the 90s. No bowler was spared of the onslaught from both teams, with 61 boundaries being hit in the match. That match is now the highest scoring game in BPL history.
All right, George, so our West Indians making us very proud in the BPL. Happy for Shai Hope, that 91.
Oh, even more pleased for, more chuffed for Johnson Charles. When Shai Hope signed up for the Bangladesh Premier League, some wise cricket heads in the West Indies, Shearer group, we always talk about that group, you know.
Right.
They weren't best pleased.
How come I'm not in the group?
We should add you.
No.
It's for old men.
Oh.
And you're going to tell me that it's too frumpy in here, so yeah, that's why you're not there. Yeah, but they weren't, and they were wondering if this said something about his commitment to West Indies cricket, especially because he was absenting himself from at least the opening round of the West Indies 4-Day Championship. But he's playing cricket and he's doing well. He's captaining the team, so it's an acknowledgement of his authority and his excellence for him to get that as an outsider. Not that Bangladesh is one of the stronger cricketing nations, so for someone, a foreigner, to come and lead on other teams is nothing strange.
Right.
But to see him given that role is significant and noteworthy. And then he played a cracking innings. I felt he should have gotten a century, but you know, there will be moments in a Shai Hope innings where you feel that he's going too slow. 91 or 55 balls is beyond criticism, though. But then Johnson Charles comes and he takes 1 ball more. I think he took 56 deliveries to make 100 and odd. Pure class, pure class. Brilliant hitting from the 2 West Indies batsmen, and a good. For those who lament the state of West Indies cricket, good to see both men advertise not only their well-being, but the well-being of hitting in the Caribbean. Notice I didn't say batting. Hitting, our problem is with batting, it's not with hitting. Hitting was on show today, and I'm happy they did well.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, every time our cricket-loving public looks at these franchise cricket competitions, they get upset because, you know, the first thing they say, and I said it at the top of the show, just bring this sort of batting when you play for us, you know.
And the only thing is this, though, that at the international level, it's the best against the best. The franchise game is a couple trundlers, a couple nearly men, a couple bits and pieces cricketers.
So what are you trying to say, George Davis?
I'm just trying to say that it's a level or two, or few, below international level. The balls, the deliveries that you get in that kind of competition, you don't get at the top level, and that's the difference. But look, it's highly entertaining what they're doing, and long may they continue cashing in on the bowling in the BPL. All of it will be on SportsMax, by the way, so you're encouraged to watch.
Keep it locked. Exciting cricket. Well, staying with cricket, the West Indies Championship bowled off early on Tuesday with a match between Trinidad and Tobago Red Force and Windward Island Volcanoes in Grenada. These are the scores at Stump. So the Windward Island Volcanoes, of course, just to remind you, the Red Force, they won the toss. They opted to bowl first. So the Windward Islands Volcanoes, after batting, they got 243 in 63.1 overs. The top scorers with the bat for the Windward Island Volcanoes: Tevin Walcott, 87 not out. Sunil Ambris, 55. Pick up the bowlers for Trinidad and Tobago Red Force: Brian Charles, 4 for 46, and Terrence Hines, 4 for 72. The TNT Red Force, they've started their first innings. They've gotten to 50 for 1 in 20 overs. Darren Bravo, the captain of the TNT Red Force, he's on 32 not out. Jeremy Solizano, 18 not out. And they've lost 1 wicket. That wicket went to Darius Martin. So, George, I've been following this from the moment it started this morning. It's all I've been watching. Really, really exciting stuff. I have to say, good bowling from the Trinidad and Tobago bowlers. I was happy to see Terrence Hines pick up that 4 wicket. He's somebody that I know personally from back home. Of course, you know, following the cricket and whatnot, going to the matches. So good for Terrence Hines getting the opportunity. I am a bit concerned though, because it's only day 1 of the West Indies Championship, and of course 2 of the TNT players have picked up injuries. In the second ball, Vikash Mohan, he had to come off the field because of the bowling of Terrence Hines. One of the ball hit him in his thumb, and he couldn't play for the rest of the day. And in Terrence Hines, at a particular part of the match, he limped off as well. I'm looking forward to find out if it was an injury. Of course, it was showtime, so I had to come on.
Yeah, so note those concerns. 2 injuries early, not a good thing. I had to do a double take. Well, I knew he was in the squad, but Sunil Ambris, I'm saying, what happened here?
You asking me.
Sunil Ambris, 29 years old now, the Vincentian. 6 tests under his belt. He has an aggregate of about 166 runs in those 6 innings, a highest score of 43. So he has not distinguished himself at test level. I think he's played those 6 tests against 3 teams, 2 tests each. So he doesn't really have permanence in the West Indies setup, and he's been discarded for long. In fact, when was the last time you heard of Sunil Ambris where West Indies cricket is concerned? So good to see him get a good start. I thought he was unbeaten. He made a half century.
55.
Would have been disappointed that he's not coming back out to resume. Would have been disappointed that he didn't get closer to 3 figures or crack 3 figures. Of course, the winner of innings is over. But I'm looking at him and saying, well, here's a man who we've tried, has not quite cut it, but there's always been something about Sunil Ambris that suggests that a decent test player is there. But maybe somebody will say, well, that's the problem, George, a decent test player. I think there's more than a decent test player there, because only if he's more than decent will he crack it at the test level. I think there's a player there, but for reasons known only to Sunil Ambris, that something that player has not emerged, and I hope that he can cash it in this tournament.
Yeah, so I have to say I was disappointed in him today, because the batting conditions in Grenada were perfect. Of course, there was a pitch that, you know, you could have gotten a lot of runs on, Sunil Ambris, and I always am upset with players that get starts. I think the hardest thing to do as a batsman or batswoman is to get a start. Sunil Ambris gets the 55 and, you know, unable to capitalize and, you know, continue batting. It's test cricket too. We're not in a hurry.
But I have to ask you this question, though. Do you think that Darren Bravo can do well enough to give us cause to say, West Indies selectors, look at Darren Bravo again?
That's what I want from him. To be honest, I was really impressed with his captaincy today. There was a particular part in the match where he just brought in he changed up the bowling, right? So initially they started with pace, then he brought in a spinner. Like, he was doing different things, of course, to have the batsmen, you know,
disrupt their rhythm.
Read. Yeah, right. And I found that really, really good of him, his field placement as well. So I think the captaincy will help him mature as a player, and he would want to lead by example. So from him, I think we're going to see that.
If Darren Bravo can't finish this championship, if he plays every game in the top 3 batsmen,
then we have a problem.
Very, very disappointed. I expect him. He has the talent to do so. He has the talent to be the #1 batsman by far. I take top 3 as his route back to test selection. What?
I like that. Yeah. I like that. All right, let's take a break and come right back. Zone Update 2 coming up next.